are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where we invite the listener to join our family for an hour or so. And we've got a huge, amazing show for you today. We have a award-winning, worldwide famous director and cinematographer who is also an old friend from Montreal. Josh Usheroff is here from Blackbox Productions, and he's going to talk about something amazing. He's going to talk about the fact that he has directed the new video for Broken Social Scene. But before we get to Josh, Lily, just Lily today. Sadly, Becky is in a place with no internet, which sounds like the worst vacation ever.
That's your nightmare.
This is my nightmare. She's like, we're camping and there's no Wi-Fi. I was like, well, have you been punished?
Exactly.
So I turned to Lily. How are you, Lily? You now have the center of family gravity has now moved to Tenerife. You have
for
not
6 weeks. 6 weeks she's here.
You have mom and you have dad.
Yeah, dad got here yesterday, so he'll be here 3 weeks. But mom will be here 6 weeks. She's been here 2 weeks already. That woman is a hurricane of love and partying. She is hilarious. I'll be quick. She takes me like on a surprise 2-day trip to another island, and like plans like 1,000 activities. And she's
like a girls' trip.
A girls' trip. She just like is like, let's go, and she was like, let's just take a ferry and let's do it. And when you're with mom, it's like a tidal wave, and you just go. And so I was like, all right, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
You just go. I often pull what I pulled when I was at your first birthday party, when I stood at the top of the slide and refused to go down and ruin the party. I sometimes do that. I mean, mom's the only when mom tries to get me to do stuff.
This is true, but I just let her tidal wave like take me, and so we end up in the desert on this other island at like this beautiful hotel that has a spa, and like it was like a retreat, and she leaves her cell phone there in the pocket of like a robe, like thrown somewhere. And this is like just so classic mom. And then we're leaving the hotel and she's like, I think I forgot my phone. And I go, oh, well, we're going to miss our ferry home, but like whatever, like go get your phone and we'll deal with the ferry. She's like, nah, I'm sure I'll get it back.
What?
Yeah. She's like,
well, in fairness,
whatever.
She does not answer the phone. She does not answer the phone when you call. She has already
100% true.
She has already declared it a lemon, and that it doesn't work.
And she was just like, she has too much faith because she keeps losing her shit, and like people give it back to her from all kinds of crazy scenarios. And I'm like, but mom, we have to drive an hour, get on a ferry, go back home. I'm like, it's not like somebody can just like put it in a cab. Like this is, and she's like, whatever. Of course she did leave it there. And I call the hotel and they're like, yeah, we found it. I'm like, of course you did. You find some AirPods too that aren't hers that you'll just give to her? She just like somehow gets all her shit back and more. And they were like, well, we could messenger it, but if you know anybody that's going to be on the island, it'll be much cheaper because like we got to send it like by courier, and that's going to be like $100 or whatever. And then my son's nanny like turns around and she's like, well, I'm going tomorrow for the weekend. I'll just go get it. I was like, of course you will.
Now,
so Ari's nanny went to pick up mom's phone in the desert on another island. Mom has good luck.
Mom has very good luck. That is.
And I just quickly want to briefly say that she, as a birthday present, which is because my birthday's in like a week, she's so sweet, and she got me a mud wrap, which is quite funny when you do that together with her. Wait, a mud wrap?
Is that an animal? A mud
wrap?
No,
a mud wrap.
Oh.
Like you're wrapped in like cellophane and like cooked in mud.
Ugh.
It's supposed to be really relaxing.
But like you mean buried? It makes you feel like you've been buried?
No. It's just more like somebody smeared some like
sous
mud
vide.
on you.
It's like you're sous vide. They like put you in.
It's like in the Dead Sea. Like it's fancy. Whatever. The point is this: it was very, very sweet of her.
What kind of vacation is this?
Just listen. We're doing the mud wrap. You're naked, and we're doing the mud wrap together, like in the same room.
Not in the same cellophane.
No, but there's these like very like burly men smearing us up with mud, And then the guy starts smearing my belly, and I can't stop laughing because I'm thinking of Who's Harry Crumb. That scene where he does the tic-tac-toe
on the
in
belly.
mud. And like my belly's, I'm just jiggling at this point because I just can't stop thinking about that. And it's like huge dude doing it. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, you wouldn't get it. Never mind. It was like surreal. It was really funny.
That is amazing. Did he also like drop his beard on the...
No. He wasn't like an imposter like spy. He was.
My kids old enough...
It made me miss John Candy.
Are my kids old enough to see that movie? I can't remember if it's...
I don't think so.
It's probably got some joke. Like in the 80s, a PG movie would be like R-rated today. So
this is true. Anyways, we can move on.
Well, let's move on. Let's get to our guest. Now, not only was he the co-founder of Blackbox Productions in Montreal, producer, director, cinematographer, dear friend of our family. He's directed the most recent Broken Social Scene video. He's also directed the video of Becky's wedding. Ladies and gentlemen, and he's got an extremely studly picture on Skype. Look at this thing. It's like, wow, that profile pic is staring through me. Josh Usheroff, welcome to Friday Night Movie.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Very excited.
Now, there's a lot of unique things about Josh. First of all, Lily, do you hear that voice? I feel like Josh, not only has he...
was made for radio.
Not only has Josh written his own show notes, he's the only guest who's ever come on and said, "I'd like to host the show. Here's the order of events." But he also...
When I got that email, I texted Shai and I was like, "You can tell he's a producer. You can tell." He's just really
but it sounds
proactive.
It sounds like he also like shellacked his voice in some like margarine and butter, because listen to that. It's those dulcet tones.
I've been having my boiled water with cayenne and honey all morning, But I've been listening to this podcast on and off since it started, and like every time it feels like catching up with old friends. It brings me back to being a teenager and sitting around your dining room table and like hearing old stories. But of course, it's only one way, because I've never been able to talk back to you guys, or at least have you hear me when I do talk back. But I do have one question which seems to always go unanswered, and that's, how are you, Shai? How is it that your sisters never ask you that?
Good. Well played, Josh. Well played.
Thank you. That's how you know you have an old school listener. I almost don't know how to answer it, but what I'll just say is that my wife and daughters and sisters all insisted I get a dog, and we have the best dog. I mean, I still like vaguely want him. I'm not even, but he is the best dog. The way Becky's baby is the best behaved baby, I have the best behaved dog. And he stayed up. So in 2-3 months of having him, he finally had one night where he cried in his crate and kept us up the other night. And you would think we had the most like apocalyptic baby crying event in the history of our house. Like, everyone was exhausted. I was the only one who ended up sleeping in the room with him. Allie left. The kids who have been waking us up lately, they didn't even come in the room. And so the next morning when we were playing with him and hanging out and getting ready, and everyone was complaining about him staying up late, I said, well, we can just give him back. And I was somewhat serious. I was like, look, if it's not working out, like, we can give him back. Because
it's a terrible thing to say to your family.
It wasn't like a threat. It wasn't like, I'll give him back. It was, all right, well, let's just give him back. If it's too hard, hey, I'm pretty tired. Like, I don't. Everybody freaked out at me. So that's what's going on right now in my house. All right, Josh, we got a lot of questions for you. So you've been a film director for well over a decade now, right? I mean, decade plus.
Yeah, most of the time I am producing and DPing projects. It's rare that I come on as director, but every now and then either there's an idea that's kind of kicking around in the back of my head that I just want to create, or an interesting opportunity that comes along, and so I will take on that role. But I would say primarily I'm more on the cinematography and producing side.
And what kind of stuff do you work on aside from world famous musicians' music videos?
Most of what we do is commercial production, promotional videos, and branded content.
Okay, very cool.
I have to say that your website is particularly gorgeous. I'm just gonna say.
Thank you very much.
It definitely fits your aesthetic. Like it looks really good, and you can get access to all your guys' stuff. You know, to see the work you've done. I recommend taking a visit at your website.
Blackboxproductions.tv for all those listeners out there.
Yeah.
And among your many commercial work, you have done a commercial for one of Becky, our sister. We want to always make sure she's with us in spirits. All-time favorite cereals, Vector.
Oh, yeah. That was a ridiculous little shoot.
Which is Canadian, right? It's a Canadian. It's one of those cereals that unless you grew up in Canada, you've never heard of Vector. My biggest question...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean...
it's definitely Canadian.
Because you're from Canada, and Vector, it doesn't exist anywhere, I'm sure. It's like Cocoa Crunchies, which are Cocoa Krispies in the United States. Vector is something else. So...
Gotcha.
I love cereal. I don't know, Lily, are you into cereal the way I love cereal?
Oh, yeah. I definitely love cereal.
I love cereal. So I would like to know, when you are making a cereal commercial, how are you capturing the experience for the cereal lover?
Well, this particular spot was something special. There was an agency that contacted us, and it was really about as small as a crew can be. I went out there as a one-man show. Oh, there you go. My son's woke up. He's going to be shouting down the stairs to see what I'm up to. So I really, they came up with the concept. They had this influencer who was an ex-CFL player and
right.
Grey
See,
Cup
how
winner.
did you not know Vector was a Canadian cereal when they were like, we're gonna get a CFL player to promote it?
That's Canadian football player for those listening.
Right.
In the U.S.
And
he won the
so
Grey
it was
Cup.
basically like he had these ideas about, I think the general concept was he was going to pretend to be a superhero, but we had to be very clear not to imply that Vector gives you superpowers, that there's like the legal department would step in on that one. And, Red Bull doesn't actually give you wings kind of thing. And,
right.
And so he was like, he just wanted to wear all these wigs and do ridiculous stuff and kind of tear apart his house. And I went along with it.
That's amazing. Okay, so
yeah,
you go from...
It was like stepping in and out for about 3 hours of just capturing this.
That's amazing. Okay. Now let's get to like the big time art here.
Sure.
I got a chance... So we have had a chance, Lily and I, to preview this video. This is very cool. We got to preview this music video.
But by the time this episode comes out, anybody can go see it on YouTube, I'm assuming. Right? It'll be released.
It'll be released on Tuesday, September 24th.
So this will drop on the 27th? This will drop on the 27th. So you folks, go out and watch this video. It is mind-bending. And Broken
Social...
Gorgeous.
Mind-bending is the exact word. And from my initial reaction, this is before I read some of the background, I felt like it evoked the psychedelic 60s, like those old videos you'd see of Jefferson Airplane or the Grateful Dead, but mixed with a sound of music that I think really is not, I don't think it's unique to Broken Social Scene, but I associate it with Broken Social Scene, which is those loud boxy drums, the wild use of distortion with beautiful melodies, almost like shouted.
And vocals.
There's the
vocals.
Vocals. So it's almost like it lives in like two, and then of course you used an incredible technology to do it, which I knew going into it. So it exists in almost like 3 or 4 different eras, all at the same time. And I think it's one of the most captivating videos I've seen in a long time. Like the song was cool, but I also kept hanging on to see what the next visual was going to be. That's my reaction. Lil, what'd you think?
I thought it was beautiful. Like, so it's impressive to me that there's so much technology behind it, and I got to read a little bit about it, so it made it even more impressive. But just watching it as is, the artistry is so beautiful. It's quite amazing that there's all this tech behind it, and that it's something so new, yet it reminds you of something older, an older aesthetic, yet it's obviously so advanced. And tech aside, I just think visually it was just gorgeous. It was so beautiful. The colors, the movement, the fact that it looks like there's brush strokes, like it's made with brush strokes. To me, from an artistic point of view or aesthetic point of view, I just thought it was so pretty, and it works so well with the song and the music. I would be so interested to see how else this tech can be used in art. I thought it was really, really cool.
All right, Josh.
So very impressed.
Tell us.
Very impressed.
Tell us.
Thank you very much for that. Can I call you guys every morning for a little mood booster?
Yes.
That was really nice.
So
dude, you made something amazing. Like, you should be so proud.
The other thing it evokes to me, the last time I feel like I've seen this, I don't know this style, but this almost like animating of real life people, like, was in the Aha Take On Me video, which is a groundbreaking video.
Yeah, that's definitely a reference. Yeah.
And I feel like we were in the like super duper upgrade of that, which was amazing. So
like there's something, or even like, remember when Scanner Darkly came out and everybody was like, oh my god, they painted the film. Do you remember that? I remember when that movie came out, and it was just so unique and interesting and pretty and beautiful, whatever. And captured, the film, like whatever the script or the film, in such a different way. This had that same thing for me. I was like, it reminded me of something, but it was also so new. It was very, very cool.
All right, so tell us, got to hear about, how did you get to Broken Social Scene? And B, how did you come up with the idea for this wild video?
So, I'm happy to tell you how it all came together. Basically, I'm on a couple different, I guess you'd call them creative bidding platforms, where different clients or people that are looking for videos will post a project brief, and then it's kind of a competition where everybody who is interested in creating the video in the end will put together a sort of pitch for it. And most of the time, like, this was actually the first and so far only time that I've ever put in a bid on one of those platforms. Most of the time it's like, just either doesn't feel like a good fit, or the idea of like competing against the 10,000 other creators around the world that want to do all pitch on the same thing just doesn't seem of interest to me. But I saw the Broken Social Scene pitch and I was like, I really like this band. I'd like to think of something to do, but I have no idea what it is yet. Listened to the song a couple times and then kind of put it away in the back of my mind, and really wasn't even sure if I was going to pitch on it or not. And that night, or the night after, I was sort of having trouble falling asleep and unwinding as I do, and kind of looking through Instagram feeds for what's called like generative art, or other like deep dream kind of
Can you for 2 seconds explain what that is?
Sure. So, I mean, like, I have a personal sort of interest, fascination in all things AI. I think, like, in a lot of domains, from medicine and transportation and a whole bunch of different fields, it's really going to be changing the way the world operates over the next 10 years, 5 years, is already to a certain extent. And so I sort of have stumbled across generative art is basically like computer generated or images that are created by humans or creators, but with the assistance of different forms of technology. And I just sort of came across this one video, which was a series of still images where it slowly zoomed in and each image like morphed into the next image. It was basically a precursor to this video. Sorry, can you guys hear me all right? My son's kind of shouting back.
It's okay. We always have kids screaming in the background of our...
It's usually Becky's kid, but yeah.
Yeah. So I saw this and I thought, wow, that's like, I was mesmerized by it because it's kind of got this hypnotic, never-ending zooming in vortex effect that like really draws you in, and I found it hard to look away. I watched the video, several times, and then I like put my phone away and went to sleep. And as I was falling asleep, I thought, it'd be cool to do something like that for the Broken Social Scene video, and just sort of like put it out of my head. The next day, I decided to just message the creator on Instagram, tracked him down a little bit. I found out more about this guy, and he's actually the inventor of a technology called Deep Dream. Now,
Cool.
Deep Dream is like a Google technology. I'm not like super proficient on the technical side of things, so I won't get too much into that. But basically, like how it started was a way for the creator Alexander Mordvintsev to like understand a little bit better how visual recognition or like machine vision works. And so basically the program enhances what the computer thinks it sees or what the computer is looking for. So if you've got some kind of face recognition technology, then like even if you have a picture of clouds in the sky, whatever might look like eyeballs, it will enhance those eyeballs and then export a new version of the image and then apply that same filter again in the loop, so that you apply
amazing.
it 40, 50 times, and then all of a sudden all these characteristics that the computer would be looking for sort of appear when they aren't actually there. So I messaged him out of the blue. He doesn't know who I am, and said, that video blew my mind. Do you want to try working on a music video together? And have you ever done it with video? Because the reference that I saw was only still images. And so, we went back and forth a little bit, but he said he was totally interested in the project, and he hadn't done something with video before, like this. So this was going to be our collaboration to try to figure out how to make that work.
Because you're not just asking like, oh, can I use your tech to make this? You're saying, can we now invent a way to do this? You now have to figure out.
So essentially you're the George Lucas of music videos, is what you're saying.
I think that we could say that. I think that's what we can say.
I think
that's what we're saying.
So what you're saying is that this is like, or if not that, maybe it's like Avatar or The Abyss. You created a new thing for this.
To be clear, so I would say he is not the only person working in this domain now, and I would say we pulled from existing research. It seems like there's a whole like academic and tech side to it that I don't fully understand, but I wouldn't say that we, or really Alex, like solely coded this thing that did not exist before. But I think that pulling from different types of technologies and different types of programming that already exists, we were able to apply it and tweak it to create this new visual effect.
And you're definitely the first ones to use it for a music video.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so if you're not the George Lucas or the James Cameron, then maybe you're like John Landis didn't he make the Thriller video after he had made American Werewolf? Yeah.
See, this is why I need to have my IMDb open when I listen to your show.
Yeah. So this is like when John Landis did the werewolf transformation for Michael Jackson based on his American Werewolf in London thing that he had done. Okay, so I get it. Okay, so you're.
Let's just pause on that for a sec, because Thriller was. It's not like anything in Thriller hadn't been done before, right? Like ever, but the way they put things that had been done maybe in other places together in a music video, that was the first time anybody had seen a music video like that with a narrative.
Absolutely right.
So extensive, and the visual effects that was an extraordinarily impactful video. So they are comparable.
Absolutely. I mean, bringing up Michael Jackson's oeuvre again, when they released Black or White and they showed the facial morphing technology at the end of that one, I'm sure that existed somewhere, but that brought it to everybody. So music videos and this technology, I mean, we're kind of joking a little bit, but we're not joking. You have this is an incredible moment that you get to be a part of. That's wild.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to like over make the claim that this was a entirely groundbreaking thing. There are
but that's why you have us to make the claim. That's why you have us to make the claim.
I would say that like we know a lot and we hadn't really heard of this. So if it's the first time we're hearing about it, and
yeah, I would say it is. There are definitely a lot of people tinkering in it, but it's definitely under, not in popular culture yet by a long shot.
Right.
Now tell us about working with Broken Social Scene. This is one of Lily in particular's favorite bands of all time.
Favorite band. Like if you're listening to this podcast right now and you have not heard their music, just Spotify the shit out of it, because this music brings me back to college, and I know like that's a very nostalgia bound statement. So to me, their music absolutely holds up, but it also has a very special place in my heart. They were amazing in concert. I got to see them in Montreal, and they're one of my favorite bands. So
yeah,
extra special.
So basically, what happened was after Alex was on board, I decided to not just do this one sort of morphing effect, but also use another AI-based technology, which is kind of transposing one texture onto another image. It's like a style mapping, basically. So basically, the way that I propose to do the video is to film the band in green screen, performing the song. Get almost every band member that I can to run through the whole song a few times.
38 members of Broken Social Scene?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that.
and then basically cut out the background and apply some kind of filter or style transfer on top of it to give it an interesting texture, and then take those images that have already been altered once using a sort of neural network AI vision, and then running that through Alex's crazy deep dream endless vortex programming that he was going to create for this. And so it was almost going to be an experiment to see what can we make with this. We didn't know exactly what it was going to look like, and I just wanted to make something trippy and cool, basically.
And the band was on board with that. They were like,
I was bidding against all these other people, and I was in the middle of a bunch of other stuff. So literally I whipped the proposal together, taking here's some black and white still images of musicians playing, and then there was a second page that was here's what style transfer does, and just explain that to the band. And then the third page was showing the video that I saw on Instagram and explaining we wanted to use that with video and to do a kind of endless vortex. And then he said, this is who I am, and let's see how it goes. And I was bidding against
and they were like, of course we want the guy who did the Vector commercial. I'm just imagining you showing up backstage, and there's all of Broken Social Scene just wolfing down bowls of Vector cereal, being like, hey man, cool.
Oh yeah,
good to meet you.
Yeah, so the bid deadline ended, and I heard back from them fairly quickly afterwards. They were like, we love this concept, band likes it, let's make it happen. And then it was just a matter of logistics of finding, when are we going to get all of the band in a room to be able to film this thing. They were starting a tour, and so there were going to be some tricky logistics to making it happen. Of course, for those who don't know, Broken Social Scene is made up of
multiple bands.
Multiple bands, many different musicians that also have their own solo careers. So getting them all in a room can be tricky. So what we ended up doing...
that kind of is on them, because they asked to make a music video, isn't it? Didn't they say that they wanted to make the video?
Well,
right?
in fact, in the
they
bid...
didn't expect to be in the video?
Yeah, that's true, actually. In the pitch, it was hopefully your video can work without us being in it. But
oh, okay.
Or it was at least an option to say because it was open to people from around the world, you could propose a concept that didn't necessarily have the
just
performance.
have the song right, which happens a lot in music videos. Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah. So we ended up filming the entire video during sound check at the Corona Theatre in Montreal, maybe 3 hours before they went on stage to do the first show in Montreal of a tour that they were doing. So we had this like very tight window while sound check is going on, right? I don't know if you've ever been at sound check in a big concert, but it's loud. Like everybody's cranking their own instrument to 11 and, you know, banging drums in the background, and the sound techs are, you know, testing all the speakers with static and burning in and everything else. Meanwhile, we're like in the same room, kind of behind the bar with a 9-foot paper that's green, and like getting the band to sort of lip sync or mime performing the song while we play it back on the speaker. And so it was the scene. It was a
broken social scene, if you will.
All right. But it's already a complex shoot because of the tech, all the creative, and then their situation, and then you actually have to put it together. That seems. Was it stressful? Were you like sweating it out?
No, I wasn't really sweating the shoot. In fact, like in terms of green screen shoots, this was probably one of the easier ones, because I knew that whatever the initial image was going to get so crushed and distorted and manipulated afterwards that, like, you know, normally you would do hair and makeup and wardrobe would be really important. This was like, you guys could just wear a black shirt and I'm going to put all kinds of patterns and stripes on it. So, you know, show up, be yourself. Like, really the important thing for me was just getting as much energy, making sure that the performances were like emotive, so that would transfer. I knew, you know, performance would be visible, but aesthetic was really like, this is going to get so crushed afterwards that I wasn't too concerned about that side of things. But it was also like a relatively small shoot. I had 2 cameras running. I knew I had a limited time with both of them. I had like a couple of friends helping me with some lights and a backdrop, but basically I had a wide camera set up that was getting more or less, you know, knees up or waist up, and then a telephoto camera that I was operating at the same time to get the close-ups and cutaways to kind of maximize the time that we had with the band. And
were they cool? Did you talk to them at all? It sounds like they just got up and played. Oh, okay, all right.
No. Like Kevin came and hung out, and he like watched us film some of the other guys too, and he had like an amazing generosity of spirit and time, and like Kevin was awesome. And the other band, everybody was like super nice, but basically they were like, okay, what do you need me to do? Stand here? And they're like, I don't get the sense that they really, wanted to like have to just play the same chords on the bass or whatever over and over again, but we tried to get them to do some fun movements and get a little more
I will say, in a video where the images are so crushed, it actually looks so clearly like they are playing. And I think that's one of the powerful, like the mind-bending things about the video, is that you're in this sort of psychedelic swirl, but I'm like, oh wow, all right, I can see him playing the notes.
You can see the drummer.
You can see everything tracks beautifully with the music. Okay, we have
and that was actually a concern, because like the only example that I'd seen from Alex was all still images, and I was, I kept asking him, so you're sure that after you apply this morphing effect, like we're still going to be able to maintain the same timing? Because if there's kind of a slip in the time, then the effect is really lost if it's not
right.
Especially if we're doing performance video as the action.
I'm impressed that you were just able, like, cause I don't know if this was a choice, but we're following them singing it. So you were following the lips and everything. That's like risky, I guess. Because it could have just been pretty images and the song in the background, but we're actually hearing and listening and watching them sing it the whole time, which is quite amazing that it worked out. It's awesome.
Yeah. And then there's one other sort of anecdote that I have about my day of filming with the band, which is like, of course, like I would say honestly, they were very generous with their time and like did everything I needed to have them do to get the images that we needed. But then as it was coming up, I had this memory in the back of my mind that Lily liked the Broken Social Scene. I wasn't positive though, so I sort of messaged her and said, like, you like this band, right? And she said yes. I told her a little bit about, that the shoot was coming up. And then so at the end of the whole shoot, I'm thinking like, okay, I don't want to really be a total fanboy here, but I am a fan.
The greatest.
And like, I only want to have one ask of them. So I was like, okay, I'm either going to try to get like a kind of, selfie or shot with Kevin or the band or something with me in it, or I'm going to ask Kevin to send a special message to my friend Lily in the Canary Islands. So I was like, hey man, like, is it cool if you just send a message to my friend? Like, I don't want to
like a text, just like
no,
Lily gets a
I
text
pulled out
from
my phone and I started recording a video. And I said, look, just tell Lily you say hi. And so he sort of like
sent me like a whole long message.
He said he was going to come visit her in the Canary Islands.
It was a peak moment. Josh texts me, or he messaged me.
I feel like did you not tell us about this?
I definitely sent it to Steph immediately. I was like, Steph, oh my God. That's my good friend Steph, who's been on the pod.
Many times.
Steph Gilman and my roommate from college. So she obviously shares my love of this band. And I immediately sent it to her and I was like, you will not believe what Josh did for me. I don't know if I probably texted you and Becky and was like, Josh is the greatest. He sent me this video. I don't know if I shared it with you guys. I hold it precious in my phone.
Well,
and
that
watch
is
it from time to time.
If you told me, which I don't think you did, my not knowing is just classic older brother being underwhelmed with things that your siblings tell you.
Yeah, I definitely told Becky.
So now that Josh will enter into the pantheon of great music videos of all time, groundbreaking music videos of all time, we're going to spend a little bit of time. Oh wait, Josh, you want to interview us still?
Yeah.
Okay, before we're going to take a break from talking about music videos, and Josh
can do a quick interview.
who's conditioned for joining us to talk about his groundbreaking music video is that he got to host the show. We're going to hand it over to Josh because he asked me about how I was feeling, and I thought maybe that was the whole interview.
This is Shy. This is the last time we're asking how you're feeling. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Don't want to let it go to your head.
Josh, I'm going to hand the mic over to you, and then we're going to talk about music videos.
Yeah, so I haven't really prepared for this part of the segment too much, but I'm just really curious about how this whole idea for having the podcast came to be, and sort of how you stay motivated to do this week after week. Clearly, there's a Google Doc going out. There's some organization behind the scenes. What keeps you guys going with this?
So I had always wanted to start a podcast. But when you're starting a podcast, you got to think like, there's so many now, right? And I was thinking like, well, if I'm going to do a pop culture podcast, which I knew I wanted to do, no one wants to hear me pontificate about The Last Jedi alone.
Well, nobody does.
And
nobody does.
But one of our family traditions, since we would go to the original Friday night movies in Montreal at the Sphere Tech Gouzo Cinema.
Josh has 100% come over for Shabbat dinner. I remember this. Like, you've come for dinner at our house, and then we were like, okay, well, we're all going to move, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go meet friends or like plans. Like, we'd split. It's not like like Josh has been to my house for dinner, and then we go to the movies, and Josh had other plans. So it was a normal thing in our house. So the spirit of that post-game conversation and that family bonding has been with us forever. When I was on the phone with Lily one day, Lily and I, and Becky too, but Lily and I especially would call each other to break down whatever shows we were watching, just as part of normal life. And we were analyzing, I think it was Sons of Anarchy, and I was like, this is the podcast. The podcast is us being siblings and talking about the stuff we talk about. And so Becky got on board, and then when we were thinking about a name, we wanted something that connected to all three of us. And I don't remember which one of us came up with Friday Night Movie, but Friday Night Movie was the obvious choice once that was out there. I did.
Oh, okay, Lily. I knew it wasn't me.
We were hiking in Montana.
Yeah.
We were on a walk.
That's right.
And we had a bunch of other names, and then it just seemed obvious. But we had originally started recording our conversations previous to all of this.
There are lost episodes.
Right. We started recording our conversations because we thought, you know what? Our kids need to hear the three of us talk about our parents and our relationship with each other and stupid shit that we've done or that we make fun of each other about. We want that recorded forever so they could then hear it and hear how we as adults related to each other. And that's how we started recording our conversations. And then we kind of merged it with the amount we love to watch TV and movies and talk about them. That's
you guys are so informed about pop culture. I said before, but like I really feel like I have to be sitting in front of IMDb to like follow along with. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just
we don't
me,
do that
but
much research. We just like absorb.
Like,
I think.
I mean, I think that's more me, but you know the names of all the actors. Like I recognize them. If you put a picture up, I'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. But like. Also, I don't know. I was listening to an episode a little while ago. You know, Josh got stuck at the border, or he's crossing the border, and at some point he says to you something like, "Hey, Shai, you know, like, what's my favorite Vin Diesel film again?" And I was thinking, you know, Lily could ask me like, which Vin Diesel film have I watched, and the answer would still be none of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea here for us is very much we want people to feel part of the family. Like our house was always the Shabbat dinner house where, there's an extra spot, you know, or my mom's making Cuban Shabbat for 20 people that turns out to be 40 people. That happened 2 weeks ago. And I think we try to share both that, like the vast knowledge we have, but mix that up with a little bit of a familial feeling. So
and I'm just going to say that, like, to move into the motivation part, like I think that this has now become, it's kind of morphed into something else. We went to Comic-Con in DC, in Virginia, which was like an epic experience. Like Josh, you'll get this reference. It was like a Shabbaton but for comics. It was wild, and the people that we met were amazing, and the response we got from people was really, really cool and really fun. But if we branch out, that was just like a great thing to do. But at the same time, Shai is the ringleader in terms of the networking, and people that we don't know have had incredible feedback to our situation. People that come from very different walks of life of us, yet we all watch the same movies, love the same shows. We've connected to really amazing people and talented artists through the podcast, and that's, I think, now part of the motivation is to keep kind of bringing people together.
Yeah, that is true. We've made really good friends, people that we genuinely love, who have either started as listeners or they're podcasters that we've connected through, or other artists that we connect to through this, that then become, you know, friends, or we have them on the show and then we stay in touch. And so it's like a virtual dinner table in a lot of ways.
That's very cool. And, you know, it does feel like when I tune into the show that it is like being back in your dining room table and hearing you lovingly bicker or tease each other. And also, I'd say, like, some of my favorite episodes, I'm not sure how many times they've been on, or when either your mom or your dad are on the show. They're so great. I bet they are. And I don't know. I remember one time your dad said something that was like so touching about how proud he was of you. It was just like really sweet. Very nice.
Let's be clear. Our mom tries to get on every episode. She is the Lucille Ball of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. 100%. Can I be in the show, Ricky?
If you're recording near her, like, we just placed bets on how many times she'll have an excuse to try and interrupt to, like, come in to see if she can get on. And last week when I was recording at our house, that episode dropped yesterday, she 100% just, like, opened the door and was like, "Can I charge my phone in here?" I was like, seriously?
There's five bedrooms in Lily's apartment.
There's no other place to charge your phone. She's like, should I say something on the podcast?
That's the other thing that's so endearing about this podcast, is that, like, Becky will be, I don't know, baking something, and you'll hear the baking sheet drop in the background.
I'm glad you think that's endearing. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm glad you think that's cute.
It's
that's
keeping
good.
it real.
That's good. It's good. It definitely keeps it real.
On the pop culture thing,
question?
though, I want to on us knowing on us being our dad more than our mom. Our dad is a human IMDb, and ever since we were little, he would be able to call out. And there's a whole episode we did on character actors that is one of my favorite episodes.
That's my favorite episode, I think. Yeah.
Of the show that we've done with my dad. But when we were growing up, we'd be watching any TV show, any movie, and our dad would just rattle off the names of the various character actors. He'd be like George Zunza, Jerry Orbach, and which
Well, I'll tell you, last night I'm watching Captain Marvel with mom and dad, and dad's like full on asleep. He just flew into town, like he's exhausted, jet lag. He's half asleep, and the alien creature appears. So it's a person in full costume, and he talks, and dad goes, Ben Mendelsohn, an Australian actor.
And then he falls back asleep.
He goes back to see. I was like, that was amazing. It is Ben Mendelsohn.
Who, by the way, is terrific in that movie, right?
He's terrific in every movie. I love that guy.
He's outstanding in that movie. So yeah, this is thank you for all. Thank you for the nice things you said and for giving us a chance. I don't get a chance to talk about why we do this so much. So this is special.
And thank you for listening. It means a lot that you're there, knowing that like whenever you can and you have a chance to like participate, that you're out there like listening to us, and it's like we're sharing it with you, which is special.
Yeah, and then every now and then I'm like, oh, but you forgot about this, and then I have to message you afterwards to say like, hey,
please do.
Please do.
People do that all the time. We love that. People tweet at us. We get text messages. Josh writes full emails, like with point by point, of things that he would like to say back to us.
Oh yeah.
So
and
that.
One of my favorite ones recently was Craig from the Take Two podcast, who Take Two Takedown, who was with us last week. He and I were going back and forth like all day yesterday about different extra points from the conversation. So we love to keep it going. Okay, now we have you here. You are a again, groundbreaking music video director. So we need to play the signature Friday Night Movie game, which Lily designed the game this week. So I can't wait to just, talk about some of the categories that you came up with. But we're gonna play Buy Rent Meh.
Of Josh's top 3 videos is on here.
I keep a Google Doc of what I argue are the best music videos ever. Some are objectively that, some are just ones I really love. And some people have access to this document. Not everybody does. If you'd like access and you're listening and you got this far into the episode, send us a note and your Gmail address, and I'll add you. And Josh, we're going to play Buy Rent Meh. We're going to do a few rounds. And again, just to go over the rules, Buy Rent and Meh can only be assigned to one of the 3 things we put in front of you. And buy is, you're going to buy it on iTunes. You love it. You want to own it. Rent is, you'll catch it on Music Plus. And 3 is Meh. Now, the challenge in today's is that a lot of these videos are great videos. So I'm really interested to know where people classify these things. So the first round that Lily designed is punk/rock. And at first I thought you said punk rock, but
no, I slash.
The slash is important.
So Lily just took a bunch of videos here. Is the best way I can describe it.
The first choice is because I saw them in concert with Josh.
The first 2 actually go well together. There's Beastie Boys, Fight for Your Right to Party, and then there's Blink-182, What's My Age Again. Now those are mischievous guys rocking out kind of videos, and then you threw in November Rain. So
it's such a good video.
Yeah, right. So Buy Rent or Meh,
such a good video.
Fight for Your Right to Party, What's My Age Again, November Rain. Give us your order and a little explanation.
Okay, this is a tough one. I think the buy is going to be Beastie Boys. Fight for Your Right to Party, but more for the song than the video. Because if you buy a music video, especially, you got to be listening to it a few times, and that's the song that I would want to rock out to and get my night started to every time would be Fight for Your Right. So that would be my buy. And then Rent, I would say November Rain, because it's a pretty epic music video. And meh, I'm feeling about Blink-182.
Wow. All right.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to go very differently. I'm going to buy What's My Age Again. I love that video.
I know you love
I love that band. I watch that video all the time. When I practice drums, my kids will hang out with me, and in order to keep them entertained, instead of just listening on my headphones, I'll put on music videos, and What's My Age Again is one of the top ones we watch together.
It's extremely appropriate for
It's hilarious, and then they remade it recently with a different song. I have no idea what the other song is.
And with women, and the
women are the ones running around, exactly. I will rent November Rain. November Rain is an epic, it is really one of the best videos of all time, so let's be clear. Objectively speaking, November Rain is the best of these three, but I'm going to rent it only because it's very long. And I just don't know how many times in a row I could watch it. And then I'm going to Fight for Your Right to Party, because I remember the moment the first time I saw that video. I saw it on Much Music. I was sitting in our old den, and it
stressed you out, the amount of parties you were doing?
It totally stressed me out. Those poor kids with the nerd glasses. Like, I was like, oh no, their house is getting ruined. And so...
You're such a nerd.
All right, what about you, Lily?
November Rain, I have to buy. It's like one of the best music videos of all time. That's why I put it on the list. And I'm going to, I guess I'm going to rent What's My Age Again, because it's a really fun video. And the only reason that I would meh Beastie Boys, which I'm not going to really meh because they're amazing, is because I rewatched the video yesterday, and I feel like it's questionable in terms of the ethics in that video.
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
I mean, Beastie Boys in the 80s, like, even they have, disavowed some of their old stuff.
Yeah, but they're so epic and amazing. But I think today that video, I don't think you could make it. So that's the only reason it's third on a list. But other than that, all three of those are great. Okay, next round.
Next round. Pop
icons.
Pop icons. Lily, why don't you introduce it? Since I only really wanted to introduce that first one because I needed to understand what the hell the connection between
my logic. Okay, pop icons. Queen Bey, Single Ladies. Duh. That video is super epic. Britney, Hit Me Baby One More Time. God, I remember vividly when that video came out and the impact it had. And then we've already talked about Paula Abdul's Opposite Attract on this podcast, so I feel like it's like out of the running. So who else is left than Rick Astley as a massive pop icon from my childhood? So he's in there, even though that video is probably not that good. But he deserves to be in there because he's on your list, Shay. I'll be quick. It's obviously Bey, Britney, and then Rick Astley.
Actually put them in the list in the order.
I put them in the order of my choosing. But yeah, Single Ladies, I think is, it's so simplistic, and she's done so much stuff since it's like so over the top. And everything she does is incredible. But that video is so simplistic, and it's just so cool. And then the SNL remake of it is even better, I would say. When it was in Andy Samberg and Horatio Sanz, and I forget who's the third one in that video. Then when they
Justin Timberlake. He's the one who.
Is it Justin? It's Justin.
No, it's Justin Timberlake, Horatio Sanz, and Beyonce. And it was Justin Timberlake who convinced her to do it.
Oh, it's Beyonce, right? Okay, it's not Andy Samberg, right? They're her backup dancers.
Right. Justin Timberlake convinced her to do it. She was like not sure she wanted to do it, and he showed up in her dressing room in the unitard, and she was like, "Okay, we can do this."
That's one of the best things I've ever seen. But yeah. Go, you guys go.
I'm gonna go with Britney as number one because I remember I was away in Israel the year that came out, and when something is and that was in the 90s, right? So it wasn't like everyone was on the internet. You had to go to like internet cafes. So there wasn't social media, so you didn't know if someone was going to be really popular. It had to be really popular, and that just blew everybody away. Iconic moment. not peak Britney yet, but that was the music changed with her arriving on the scene, and suddenly we went from the sort of rock, pop, grunge into total pop, and that's a big deal. I'll rent Single Ladies because it is amazing. It's the best video of the three for sure, and because Allie recently made me learn the dance steps for it and perform them during a hora at our friend David and Ben's wedding, and so yeah, so that, and then the Rick Astley one, I have to go back and watch and figure out why it's on the list, to be honest.
You really do. He's just standing in like an empty bar singing.
Yeah, but it just makes me think of Dad.
It's such a great song.
Dad.
It's a great song.
Dad introduced us to Rick Astley.
That's true. It's on there for nostalgia purposes.
How about you, Josh?
So I gotta say, I forgot that this segment was called Buy Rent Meh, because it is similar to another game that you might have heard of that's like Kill F Marry, and I think that the answers in that would have definitely been Marry Queen Bee, and then maybe F Britney.
You can do
and
that.
Forget about Rick. But if it's gonna be Buy Rent Meh, then I still would.
This is an original game. This is not that game you speak of. This has more nuance.
Yeah, nothing to do with it, right?
That game.
Well, no, my answers would change. I'm saying it. The words matter. So definitely still buy Single Ladies. What an amazing music video. And then Rick Astley, only for the Rick roll. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where someone tells you to check out this link and then you open it up and this video plays. Do you guys know about this cultural phenomenon?
Is amazing. Yes. Shai, did you know about this?
I've heard it, but I don't really know what it is.
It's basically in whatever context, and there are a bunch of different ones, including, I believe, a parade at some point, but I didn't do research into this, where this song just starts out of nowhere, or you get a link to something, it's check out this amazing thing, and then you click on it, and it's
Rick Astley.
Yeah, exactly. So I would rent it for the ability to do that to friends. And then...
And it proves it stands the test of time.
So there you go. So maybe that's how it ended up in there. I don't know.
I don't think so, Shai. Okay, and then I chose wild cards / experimental videos because I feel like it's kind of in the vein of Josh's music video project.
I would say my buy is Broken Social Scenes Can't Find My Heart, directed by Josh Usheroff, for this one.
I mean, but it's not on this list.
I know it's on the list, but I'm just telling you which one, dropping on September 24th, so you will be able to watch the video when you hear this podcast episode.
Watch it.
That would
sure.
win this category if we could.
Yeah,
although maybe second to This Too Shall Pass.
This Too Shall Pass is incredible. Josh, have you seen that video?
Of course.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, of all the categories, if I had to buy, rent, and meh a category, this would be the buy category.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
These videos are all awesome. So I OK Go has always been boundary pushing in almost all of their music videos. I know that you picked This Too Shall Pass, but there's another video. I don't know if you've seen this one, where they basically filmed the whole video in 5 seconds.
No.
It was a super slow motion music video called The One Moment.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one with no gravity?
No, not the one with no gravity. So this video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
I have seen it because I love that album.
And so basically they put a high-speed camera, probably a Phantom or something like that, filming at 1,000 frames a second on some motion control rig, and then timed a whole bunch of different explosions and things to trigger, all within 5 seconds. And then they played it back at, I'm not sure how many times, 20 times slow motion or something like that, so that it made the entire length of the song. And the explosions of colorful dust are timed with the drums, and there's all these different things that are really
I love them. I've seen
insane.
By the way, if you know what's a really cool thing about that band, if we can just do an aside here, I've seen them live, and with a band that revolves so much on studio sounds and visuals, there's a little bit of a question of what's that live show going to be like. Their live show is amazing. It's amazing. They were one of the live shows I saw recently, and part of it is that as much as we're all taken by those visuals, like the one moment, that song's an amazing song. This Too Shall Pass is an incredible song.
That is true.
And
true. And I think that's the case with Josh's too, and Can't Stop. For Chili Peppers, like you have a very cool, different video, but the song has to also be great for it to like stand up. And at least, yeah.
So Lily, get to the category.
Anyways, so okay, you have OK Go, This Too Shall Pass, which has 2 separate videos. Like, imagine being that ambitious as a band, of being like, we're not going to make one amazing music video, we're going to make 2, which is bordering on narcissistic, but I'll take it. I love it. And then Chili Peppers Can't Stop. I think that, to me, that video is one of my favorites because they could have done so much with that song. That song lends itself to wild, crazy video and all kinds of like madness, but yet they basically used an art installation and from a German artist, and it's quite not at what you would expect, and I think it's extremely cool. And then the Fatboy Slim Weapon of Choice. I got confused, Josh. I thought you gave us a list of your top 3, which I'll let you mention that in a second. But I thought for a second that I had put Turn Down the What, but I didn't. I put Weapon of Choice, Fatboy Slim with Christopher Walken, which is also kind of
That's
different.
my honorable mention. If I was going to pick 4.
Oh, okay, right, exactly. So yeah.
I want to go first. So I'm bye on This Too Shall Pass, and I'm going to rent Chili Peppers Can't Stop. Actually, I think it's kind of a generic Chili Peppers song of that post Scar Tissue era, but I know how much Lily loves this song. Like,
I love this song.
Lily stopped whatever we were doing to make me watch this video, and there's something that makes you happy when you're an older brother, when something your sister likes that actually cuts through and you don't ignore. So for me, that video means a lot. And then I love the idea of Walken and the dancing and Weapon of Choice, but I can never remember the actual song. So that's why that one falls down for me.
Josh?
So I am also bye on OK Go, This Too Shall Pass. Awesome video. I really love all their videos. Weapon of Choice would be my Rent. There's something just so iconic about Christopher Walken doing his dances and flying. It's awesome. I love that video. And Chili Peppers is meh, despite the fact that as a band I love them. They were probably one of the first bands that I ever listened to. I think in grade 4 I asked my mom if I could get the Blood Sugar Sex Magic tape, which had explicit lyrics, and I had to like explain to her, like, look, I'm just listening to and she basically said I would be allowed to listen to the music as long as she didn't hear me repeating any of the words in the song.
Hey,
that's a good deal.
That was pretty
that's
cool
the deal we have in my house.
It's
a lot of songs.
It's a very cool mom.
Yeah, very
That's
cool.
awesome. I think I'm gonna second you on that. Even though I do love the Can't Stop video, I think that's an acceptable order to put them in. So yeah, I second Josh.
All right. So Josh, you mentioned, I mean, you brought us a few great videos. So what are some of the great videos that you love right now? Because we're going to add all of those to the Google Doc.
Oh man, where are my notes on that? Oh yeah,
So
up here.
You
There
have
you go.
This Is America.
By
right.
Childish Gambino, which is a mind-blowing video. I mean, Donald Glover he almost passes to the point of annoying with how incredibly awesome and talented he is. Like, he could never be annoying to me because I love him, but wow. How
Not
talented
only
is that guy?
but when he's paired with Hiro Murai, I'm not sure if you know who that is, but he directed the video and he also directed the show Atlanta. So they've collaborated on a few projects together.
Wow.
And like when you get the two of them in the same room or collaborating, they produce some really incredible, powerful stuff. I remember when the video came out. First of all, it like blew my mind. Watched it multiple times, but it really felt beyond just being powerful. It felt like a work of art, like a real statement about the times and something that that was really, you couldn't turn away. I watched it over and over again to see like, how did they do this? What, like all the choreography and all of the planning that went into it. It was really, taking music videos to a whole other level.
So the videos, This Is America.
This Is America.
Everybody go watch it. Yeah.
And then speaking of videos on another level, this video, when it came out, also kind of blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe that they made this all happen. It's so ridiculous, so funny. And that's the video Turned Down for What? Where these dancers are basically falling through a building from the top floor all the way down while dancing. It is grimy, and it's just an amazing video. And then my third
choice.
Hold on. Is Turned Down for What have the lady from Glow in it, the one who plays Arthi?
You're asking the wrong guy on
Lily, that's 100% Arthi from Glow.
It's quite possible. She's also from Mr. Robot.
Sunita Mani.
Yeah, she was in Mr. Robot too.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, she's in Turned Down for What, Mr. Because and Glow, and it's interesting to see her play like this more grimy, insane kind of character. So, anyways, that was cool.
And then your third one, Josh, I'm very surprised by this. Can you explain?
Okay, so the third choice is Hotline Bling. And
yes, by Drake.
Is it because he's Canadian and Jewish? Is that why?
First of all, I wanted to represent a little bit of Canadian in there, but also, I don't know that these are necessarily my like all-time favorite music videos.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think it's
to our attention.
Yeah, especially something that's current. I heard an interview with the cinematographer about this project, and it came together in like 3 or 4 days. But there's something that you probably wouldn't even think about, but as a cinematographer is really interesting, which is that like this film or music video would not have been possible maybe even 5 years ago because of the color shifting and the things that are going in. You need a certain kind of LED light that it covers the RGB color spectrum. If you think about in like traditional films or going back before then, if you want to get a colored light on a set, you put a gel in front of it. But that gel isn't really dynamic. It doesn't change. If you wanted to get those same kind of changing color effects, you would have to almost have like a roll of gel paper that changed throughout, which
like at a bar mitzvah.
Like right. This. So this kind of like color shifting technology is something that's relatively new, and so I think it's worth mentioning for that, and also the fact that like this music video I heard came together in like under a week. A few days of the DP got a call and they said we're going to try this thing. And the set build and everything was like done super fast.
I see you making Drake's next video. That's what I see here. You can do that. It seems like, broken social scene, and next, just let's go Beyonce. Or Beyonce, directly to Beyonce. I definitely, if you do a Beyonce video, you can absolutely send me a personalized message from her.
I feel like if Beyonce does another one of her albums where like every song is a video, we could get you in there for sure.
For sure.
All right, well, if you have an in, feel free to put me in touch.
Okay, well, we won't keep you because your poor child is desperate to see his data.
So do you have recommendations for us?
Josh wanted us to rec stuff, right? That you recommended, but you liked, but your friends hated. I love that category.
Right. So these are shows that like I watched by myself and enjoyed. And then I told other people about them, and they were like, "Oh no, definitely not." So I have two options there, and I'd be curious to hear if anyone feels the same way about this or not. And the first one is Comrade Detective. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, we've talked about it on the show.
We've talked about it on the show, yeah.
I was able to make it through 2 episodes because I loved the bit and I loved the voice actors, but I didn't care what was going to happen with it. It was like it was like a Funny or Die sketch that they made into a show.
Went on too long. Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, it's brilliant. It's funny. It's awesome.
There was this one scene where the like communist detective is going to interview some capitalists that are stuck in prison, and he's asking them about Monopoly, and he's like saying, what is this game, Monopoly? I don't understand it, because they're imagining this communist world where they haven't heard of Monopoly, and the capitalist prisoners are explaining, well, you see, it's a game where you try to buy as much property as you can until your neighbors are starving and poor and suffering. And it was so hilarious, and also a kind of funny way to think about the game of Monopoly as like indoctrinating children into capitalism. So like that part of it, which is carried throughout, I found very entertaining. And
but
between Nick Offerman's, no, definitely not. They're like, I thought it would be one of those shows where we could like all watch it and then make jokes about it afterwards and reference it was going to be this like great cult classic among us, and instead they're like, we're not even watching that.
It's hard to watch because it's a fake Romanian TV show with these hilarious overdubs, but like each episode's like an hour, right?
Here's the thing. I didn't know, and I guess you're giving away a big spoiler alert there, but I didn't know that it was fake. And that added so much to me, like to think that this was actually a show that was uncovered, and how I was like, no, there's no way this is real. But then they would like sort of keep it consistently going. So,
well, I'll say this: our brother-in-law, who grew up in the former Soviet Union, 100% said shows like this exist. That is, like, he watched this thing and it blew his mind because it was, as much as it was made as a joke, it was accurate.
Yeah. That makes you feel better.
And then the second show that I wanted to mention was the first season of Goliath. Have you seen that?
Goliath. I'm a big Goliath fan. The second season, have you seen it? It's crazy. But the first season is fantastic.
Yeah, I saw the second season, and it didn't live up to the first season in my eyes.
It was quite off-putting.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it, and I showed it to a couple people, and they were like, thumbs down.
I love all of Amazon Prime's crime shows. Sneaky Pete, Goliath, Bosch.
So those are my recommendations for shows.
We call that show. What do we call that? Great Expectations.
Expectations. Like episode expectations. Yeah.
Right. Expectations that when you're really excited to show something to somebody and you have all these expectations, but then they see it and they're like, no. And it's so sad.
Yeah, then you suffer show embarrassment.
Right. And then you suffer show embarrassment. Which 100% is, these are real feelings. But Josh, you were saying quickly, like, I don't want to not mention things you wanted to mention. You were saying that the importance of on demand, and I don't even know what you mean by that. I just want to ask you.
Okay, so
and like
I've
your
always
household
been
watching. I definitely think there are household watching styles. I think that's 100% accurate. Like every household has their own like secret system of how they watch TV.
Yeah. So at my household, my wife and I have one like light comedy that we'll go to if it's just like tired, don't want to think too much. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Community, A Good Place, something like that. Like fun, entertaining, and just you don't want to feel stressed at the end of it. Sure. Yeah. I mean, great shows. And then we have one that like requires a little more, I say, emotional investment, or you feel a little bit, maybe stressed or anxious for the characters afterwards. Have you talked about Homecoming at all? Have you seen that show?
We've talked about the podcast. So Becky and I have listened to the podcast. Both seasons, but have not yet ventured into the show.
Homecoming. That sounds like a crying show about rich people who are sad. Is that just like another Big Little Lies?
It's about a military kind of
experiment. I'm mixing it up with another show. Okay.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones, those type of emotional investment shows. And then I have my own, I would say, like the shows that Kate won't watch, more dark sci-fi-ish, Westworld, OA, Fargo, Black Mirror. Those are my personal favorites.
You like OA? That's one of the recommendation ones that I could recommend, and people just laugh at me. But I really like it. Nobody will watch that with me.
Strange. It got weird, let's say, and it's definitely easy
I'm
watching
like down
show.
for that on my own. Like, I don't need
Yeah.
other people to be invested.
Yeah, I honestly, by the end of it, I don't know how I feel about it. I just thought, well, that's
Okay.
different. Like I wasn't like, oh, that was
Right.
amazing, but I enjoyed the fact that it felt like
So your recommendation is
totally
one where you're like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
on demand.
What happened to me recently? Like we're pretty much like a Netflix household, or we also have Amazon Prime. But recently we got Crave, which is how you watch HBO in Canada, and
Canada is so funny. I love Canada.
I pretty much got it for Game of Thrones, and then we stuck around with it for Barry, which is an amazing
That's a terrific show. I haven't seen the second season, but I watched that first season in one day. I loved it so much.
That's a show that's so easy to recommend that you can recommend it to almost anyone and they will like it. NoHo Hank's character is like by far my favorite, but that's kind of an aside. So I was watching, or I was flipping through the, I guess, smart TV recently, trying to find something to watch, and this banner ad pops up for The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh.
I knew nothing about it, but I was like, all right, I just want to watching with Kate, gonna give this a try. Watched an episode, got really into it. I think maybe the first episode is an hour, and then after that it's half-hour episodes.
I loved the first episode.
We were like, okay, we're gonna watch another right away. And then I think the second night we watched the third episode, and then it's building, and then it just stopped. I was like, it can't be a 3-part what's going on here? And then I realized the show is still on television, and you can't, I won't be able to watch the next episode for another week, and I won't be able to watch the season for however many, weeks it runs, and I cannot watch TV in that way. I can't wait a week between episodes. Like that.
So what you mean on demand is you mean you the importance of streaming.
Do they not have binge watching in
binge
Canada? They just call it on demand? Is that what...
Well, I guess what I mean is that I need to be I can't start watching until that entire season is out.
Not a technology of on demand, but you need shows on demand when you want to watch it. You don't want to wait. That's what you mean.
I because a week from now I'm going to forget what happened the last episode. I want to be able to pick up the next night.
Righteous Gemstones isn't Game of Thrones in the sense that this is not a zeitgeist thing where the spoilers are going to happen the next day. You could just wait. There's enough TV out there. You could wait and watch the whole thing in one shot.
That's what I've got to do. But it has not been something I've experienced yet.
I actually miss...
You're not talking about the same thing. You're talking about Josh waiting till it's all over so then he could binge it.
Right.
What he's saying is I want to watch it now. I just don't want to wait every week.
But I actually miss... I think I miss the experience of everybody watching episodes at the same time. So I while it's cool to have a whole season drop, it's actually starting to get overwhelming that if I'm picking up a show, I have to pick up the entire season in one shot. I mean, that's I'm reading a book every time. It's not like I'm dabbling and seeing if I want to keep with it.
You're definitely not reading a book.
That's fair.
Just be clear on that. But the point is that I get what you're saying. Look, I prefer it the way it is. I prefer to be able to watch as much as I want when I want. But Glow came out and I wanted to savor it, and I didn't want to watch all the episodes at once. And everybody else was watching it, and I got all stressed out, and I was like, forget it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to do my own thing. And it's sort of this wave that happens if everybody's watching stuff. I think it's better to have it all, but at the same time, you need to be able to pace yourself depending on the content.
I think shows try more to get you to watch them when they have to get you to tune in the next week, as opposed to the mandatory 4 episodes of slow Netflix world building that happens at the beginning of every Netflix series. It's essentially, I feel certain shows I like it, but certain shows where they drop it, I'm just wow, this is what would happen if directors were allowed to only make the director's cut. If they could just do Final Cut and it could be 12 hours long.
Shay, what was the episode of the show last week or the week before you were saying that you're enjoying watching week by week because don't you have a show you watch week by week or something?
Well, we've been watching Ballers week by week, but I don't think that's the show I'm talking about.
No. I don't know, but you mentioned the show. Maybe that was it. Week by
But
week.
then does that mean like you would have 7 shows and every night of the week you're watching a different kind of thing and you have to keep track of 7 different plots simultaneously?
I mean, 7. I wish I was only watching 7 shows at the same time. I mean, as Lily says, we have a podcast. We have a duty.
I know.
You've got homework to do.
I mean,
for sure. But what I find, okay, so I agree with you. What my husband has a harder time with is that the show ends and then every time he doesn't get it. Every time he turns to me and goes, so just put on the next season. I'm like, no, you have to wait a year. He's like, a year? He still doesn't got, he looks at me every time and goes, oh, fuck. Like, seriously, a year? My God damn it. He's like, why do you put these shows on in front of me that I have to wait a year?
I'm going to binge a whole show. I kind of want to know if it's going somewhere, and if now Netflix is even pulling these off, like canceling these shows mid-season. So I'm going to watch 12 hours of a show and not have any sense if it's going to come back. That's a lot. Like, I'm never going to watch Orange is the New Black.
But do you guys remember when shows, we'd watch a show once a week, whatever, and then there was only like a 3-month off period during the summer, and then they'd come back. Now we have to wait a year for our shows. That's a whole other thing. For the next season.
No, network shows, the Goldbergs still.
No, I know that, but most
Brooklyn
people are not watching.
But
most of the shows we're talking about are not network.
You are right. Like, now shows, they debut at the end of September, and they then there's 4 months in the middle of the year where there's no shows because there's sports on, or they take a break. Yeah, it's not that part kills me.
Mid-season finale, and then the season finale, and then the post-season finale. That's for network shows.
I think we have passed from peak TV into being show-overwhelmed. I think that's really where we are right now. There's just that, and that's why this podcast is providing a valuable public service.
Going through the weeds.
Okay. With that, I don't have any recommendations right now. So, Josh, director of Can't Find My Heart, the new music video by Broken Social Scene that will have dropped on September 24th that everybody should go see. Where can people follow you? Where can people catch up with that video?
So I think Instagram would be the best, Blackbox MTL, or you can also find it on my company website, blackboxproductions.tv.
Cool.
Is it going to be on YouTube?
I don't actually know where the video is being released. I imagine all music videos will live on YouTube eventually, so I think that's where it's going to be found. But probably a quick Google search will have that answer by the time this podcast is released.
But to follow you, people can follow you directly on Instagram.
I don't actually keep a personal Instagram per se, but most of my work is up on Blackbox MTL.
Or people should check out anyways.
Cool. Lily, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter. And if you have any questions or comments or arguments from this episode and would like to share your own favorite music video, please tweet me at Chichi, that is CHICHI, K as in Kilo, Gomez as in Gomez Adams, on Twitter.com. It's not .com, it's just Twitter. Every time.
And we want to thank Brian Stever of the Take Two podcast, who told you that no one understood your handle for 2 years. And that you needed to enunciate.
You have to spell it out. You have to spell it out. I was like, do I?
I honestly want a spin-off show of you and Brian. I want that spin-off show.
We could fight crime, and I feel like go to restaurants and do reviews or something. It could be a mix.
I think it should just be you doing TripAdvisor of places to go with Brian, and then talking about pop culture.
You make fun of my TripAdvisor use, but I get us to some good places. So I don't know what you want from me.
Like Ocracoke? Oh, God.
I don't know. You make me act like, Josh, do you use TripAdvisor? Am I the only one that uses it? Should I act like it's like I'm a maniac? I like reviews online.
Yeah,
no one
I don't know.
Think.
I've heard that it's very easy to hack those reviews, so I don't know how much weight I really give them.
Oh, I don't give them that much weight, but I like to be, I like to have my finger on the pulse, if you will.
Of course.
And you can follow me at Pancake 4 Table, Pancake the number 4 Table at Oh, on Instagram and Twitter. I pulled a Lily there. I was like, yeah, Pancake for a Table on Instagram and Twitter. Friday Night Movie for all of our shenanigans on Instagram and Twitter, or FridayNightMoviePod.com. The music, the theme song, a band that would be honored to have Josh Usheroff direct a video for us, comes in from What Does It Eat? Another pair of people who grew up with Josh, Howie, and me. And with that, we dance our way into this very early Saturday morning. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Josh, for joining.
Thanks for having me, and send my love to Becky. I don't take it personally that she skipped out on my first episode on the show.
There'll be more episodes.
We'll have you back,
man.
We'll have to connect. Thank you so much. This was great to catch up.
All right, later. Bye. Lily, love you.
Bye. Love you guys. Love you both.
Lily, let's be clear. Everyone hosted this episode but me, because Lily was like, "No, we're going to go back."
Well, I'm reading the notes, and I just keep circling back. I was like, the man asked for certain subjects to be brought up, and I also really wanted to know what you meant by the. And just to let you know, Josh,
it's really good. It's awesome.
Wait, Josh, to let you know how you're talking about household styles? You and Shy's style seems pretty much identical.
Yeah.
My household style is only those scary, like, thriller shows. That's the only thing that's watched in my house. So every time you sit down, it has to be something where, like, a lot of people get murdered. And like, that feeling you were talking about after, if it's not, like, and doesn't even faze Jose, like, at all. He's like, there's not enough serial killing in this show. Like, it's ridiculous. And so I do that other watching on my own, and he'll humor me with, like, Santa Clarita Diet. Like, when I'm, like, really not in the mood, he'll be like, okay, fine, put one of those, that comedy on, and that's it. But, like, to him, that's comedy, and that's it. It's very, except Sex Education. He loved that show that I forced him to watch. It's a great show, by the way. If you haven't seen it.
No.
Oh my God, watch that with Kate, like, right now. That's a great show. It's on Netflix.
Nice.
Check that out. That's a really fun show to watch together. It's an epic recommendation.